Your love, I'm gonna make you mine. There's something special about your love. I think it's one of a kind.
You know, one thing, like again, getting into this rant about different areas in Central Florida. That's kind of annoying about Davenport and Champions Gate is that like you'll always hear once you hear about Davenport about how great Champions Gate is, like everything is centralized, blah 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 blah. Well, the problem with Davenport and Champions Gate being the only place that everything is popping around, right, is that small things that you take for granted, where you're coming from if you're moving here, become bigger issues. For example, I just went into UPS. It's the middle of the week. Today's Wednesday. I know it was after a holiday, but it's not before a holiday. It's after a holiday. It's 2 days after the holiday. So any leftover packaging and sending and all of that, you know, I don't know how many businesses are in the area that are reliant on postage and all of that. So there's a lot of different factors to take into account.
I've been to that UPS and there's been a line outside of the store. And it's not because of social distancing.
No, it's just busy. And like everything is unnecessarily busy because it's like she just said, it's only one, right? So it's like you'll hear like how great Champions Gate is and why it's so great to live in and around Champions Gate when you're in Davenport. But then it's like when it's the only thing that's popping like that, it becomes annoying because little things like that become like, oh, it's super busy. And it wasn't like anything excessive going on. There was somebody using a notary service that takes a little longer. You're gonna understand with that. There was a language barrier with a lady. She didn't speak English, and none of the employees spoke Spanish. So but that's not something that you're not going to expect to see somewhere in Florida. You know, like coming from South Florida, that's a normal thing for me. It wasn't like, oh, that's what the holdup was about. It's just, why is it so like crowded and like, oh my God, because again, it's the only thing popping. Now, why would I rant about that? Because that's the infrastructure that we have here. Well, there's also another problem. We've come across this. I don't know this to be 100% fact, but you can look this up yourself. So we had heard about this issue that was happening. So close to 27 is the target that Lisa likes to go to down here, because otherwise you have to leave Davenport altogether to get to a Target, right? It's like our second favorite Target. The first would be the one on Erlo, I think, in Kissimmee. That one has Rolling Oaks. She knows it by then.
But what have I complained about that Target? That Target doesn't have home stuff. Like, it doesn't have trash. Yeah,
but it makes sense that it doesn't have it because it's like in the middle of the tourist place. Nobody's really gonna be buying like garbage and that's the problem with anything up there on Erlo. Is like it's gonna be the tourist version of those stores. So you might can buy spare clothes and stuff like that, but like home goods and those things, they're not gonna focus on that because there are a lot of hotels up there. Anyway, so what store was it? You remember? What store was it that we heard they were like fighting them building the store? Was it Aldi's or whatever?
A Publix.
Another Publix?
Yeah, Publix. It said Target. It was a Moms of Davenport group.
Yeah.
And a woman claims that the Target, which is a regular Target, it's not a super Target.
Yeah.
Yeah, that they have some commission meetings to try to get to get a Publix over there, but businesses like Target are trying to stop it. The market is small, the store is small, everything is small. So I think that's why it's not considered a super Target.
Even if it was the super ultra mega Target, the fact that the Target company is fighting building more stores, infrastructure, so that people don't have to drive 30 minutes, 50 minutes away to get to a Publix, or to not all be clustered up in one store. You know, coming to you because I just wanted to kind of level with you guys. If you're in the budget or lower end market of the new construction homes, the non-custom homes. And I hope you can hear the air quotes on top of see me doing them in the air here, because I feel it kind of patronizing to people who come and spend their hard-earned money, or however you come across your money, spend, almost $250,000 to be seen as budget or like lower end of the spectrum of houses. That if you're not spending $500,000 to $750,000 to $1 million, you're not seen as having like a luxury or custom house. Like, we've gotten to a point where, this has been beaten to death by other people about like how homes used to be way closer to where the income is, when our parents bought homes. But we're getting out of hand now when people are spending 3, 4, even 450 on a new construction, and that's seen as a basic starter home or something like that. And we are currently renting one of those, and today was just a culmination of a couple of things to think about. So when you're in this, a lot of people will say, just get the base model and then take your time and upgrade all the stuff yourself, right? Which is cool, but like, remember, we're in an insane market where we're paying absurd amounts of money, right? And when you also are like one of the first people living in the house, like when we moved in next door to us, if you watch that previous blog where I do have my rant about new construction, it was all just like basically like dirt lots next to us, right? What happens is, they put down the trash in front of those people that are now living in there. If they miss their trash day or they have too much trash or something, they're using the bins. Hey, we are guilty of doing it once or twice, throwing an extra box or something that we needed to throw out in there instead of our into our like bins, right? But people don't use discretion all the time, and they will take it to the extreme and throw things that really shouldn't be in there, which generates more flies and bugs and all of that. And this is not a rant about insects again in South Florida, right? Or in Florida, period. This is more about, I'm always, almost to my detriment, always going to side with, the workers, the people who are seen as at the bottom rung, the people that are putting in the physical labor. So I'm not entirely upset with these people. The workers are now working on the house next door. They're going to build a second story and all of that. So we're listening to it when they're working with their tools and all of this stuff and listening to their music, just trying to get through the day. We're so close that the music is booming straight through the house. And remember, because the whole second floor, there is no concrete there, the sound deadening upstairs where all the bedrooms where you're supposed to be sleeping are, is less. So I'm trying to lay down for work, and I am there like getting upset because I'm like, yo, that music is entirely too loud. But I have to side with the workers, because I understand that, like, you're at work, you're out in the hot sun, you're out there doing the manual labor, you're trying to keep up your morale any which way you can with the music. Do I think the music could have been turned down a little bit, or they can do without that when they're working in close proximity like that? Yes, but again, why am I going to get upset with them when we have multi-million-dollar companies that are building these things, and they are chucking us in with these zero lot lines and these homes that are like basically like what? I don't know how you would refer to them, like contactless townhomes, basically. Like they're so close together, the lots are so close together. If somebody is doing something right next door, like if one of these houses catch on fire, all it needs a little wind and your house is definitely going to be in some in range of some damage, because you're that close, right? So when you're looking at these zero lot lines, take into consideration, even though you might be like, oh, I don't want a yard to take care of it. Look, there's landscapers, there's all of those things that you can hire, and you can have them do a basic thing, cut the grass for you or something like that. There are landscapers, there are people that you can, like $40 for a cut or something like that, and they can take care of the basics of just keeping your grass mowed and your lawn decent. Because it's not, for me personally, it's not worth it to be in this kind of scenario where, like, it's not gonna be forever. I know that, you know, once they build a house, it's over with. But just the inconvenience of being that close, because we're all so packed in, and because of the construction of this house, you might have heard me say, like, when it rains, it sounds crazy. So I can only imagine if we had like an actual like hurricane, or when we get into hurricane season, if a storm passes through, how it's going to sound up here. I'm pretty sure, or I'm hoping that it's all built to hurricane grade, because that's what we know that there are regulations for. All my deregulate everything people out there. Like that happened to be coupled along with a guy came to try and fix an electrical problem we've been having in the kitchen. So one of the problems that we've been having of late is that if we run something in this plug, like the microwave, at the same time as maybe like the toaster or something, sometimes if like Lisa is like cooking or something, it will trip the breaker, right? So what ends up happening, of course, is this is an annoyance, because you have to only use, and I'm not talking about major appliances. We're not talking about like, oh, I'm running the stove, the dishwasher, and the fridge at the same time. I'm just talking about like a toaster and a microwave at the same time, and I'm tripping the breaker with that. Come to find out, when the guy comes to service it today, because they're pretty good, you know, they have a pretty good staff here with the KB warranty so far. Everybody that I have dealt with has been, you know, prompt. They've been cool about their demeanor, their customer service. But come to find out, the build has all of those plugs on that wall. Instead of just splitting it into two different breakers, there's all on one 20 volt thing that is actually not even getting the full 20. So, you know, like little things like that are just a little like cutting corners, nickel and dime kind of things that are just debilitating to think. Like, you're going to take your hard-earned money and buy a house, and in some cases your first home, and they're just cutting corners with these little basic tricks that's like unnecessary. Like, why do you have to try and like cut a corner like that? You guys are not making enough millions of dollars selling how many homes in this area? Like, those things are things to think about. Yes, you get your basic model, you upgrade it yourself, but there's just, when something starts with a certain level, there is a certain annoyance of having to rebuild it to a level that it should have already been at. So I mean, as a rental, we're like, yo, you know what, we don't care, but it makes me very cautious of going forward and making sure, like, I'm looking at when this house was built. Like, I don't want something ancient, you know, I don't want a 100-year-old wooden house that could be sitting there and just waiting to fall apart. I don't want a roof that I'm gonna have to redo the day I move in. But at the same time, I'm like, you know, I'm almost feeling the whole old timer saying of like, they don't build them like they used to, and looking for something maybe a little older that's maybe already gone through someone changing the roof and the HVAC system or something like that. Because for us in our price range, and I say for us in our price range, because I'm sure the new builds that are custom or that are in $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 range, $550 and up or whatever, maybe those are a higher quality. But for me to spend my money in this range and get this as a new construction, I'd be annoyed. And I'd feel like, you know, a little disrespected that, like, we're not talking about, oh, I didn't get an upgraded dryer and washer. We can deal with that. I'm talking about basic things where it's like, why are all these plugs here? Why did they design this to cut? And every time the answer is cut the corners, cut the corners. Something we find a screw that wasn't screwed all the way in or something in the cabinet. It always seems like it was a time restraint or a cutting corners measure. So that just gets really annoying, and it's something to think about when they keep pushing this new construction. Look, you'll be the first one in the home. Yeah, you'll be the first one in the house, and you'll be the one fixing and dealing with all of that, paving the road for the next person that, if you're a good steward of that house, comes along and they can reap the benefits of. So if you want to be altruistic and do that for someone, Be my guest, but I think I'll be going a different route in our home search. Anyway, time to stop my ranting.
I think it's one of a kind. There's something special about your love. I want it all the time. You will always be my inspiration.